You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. And today, an evening crash just outside of Miami, Oklahoma takes the life of one man.
At 7 a.m. we are looking bright to start this morning out, but you see a lot of cloud cover beginning to build. That's heading on the next storm system on the way. We'll start diving into the forecast coming up.
Also, we'll take a look at how some stores in Seattle are dealing with another supply chain issue. This one brought about by winter weather. All that and more coming up.
Most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. A two-vehicle collision north of Miami, Oklahoma takes the life of one man. Oklahoma Highway Patrol reports a southbound vehicle driven by Stephen Ripto on Oklahoma 69A collided head-on with a northbound vehicle driven by Albert Horton. The crash occurred yesterday afternoon at approximately 5 in the evening. Integris EMS transported Albert Horton, age 72, from Sparta, Wisconsin to Integris Hospital in Miami, where he was pronounced deceased at the hospital. Integris EMS also transported the other driver, Stephen Ripto, and other passenger, Carisha Huddleston, to Mercy Hospital in Joplin. Both were listed in fair condition despite having minor injuries. The condition of Stephen Ripto is under investigation, as is the cause of the collision. A Golden City, Missouri substitute teacher faces a sex crime charge. That teacher is 22-year-old J.C. Baines Stahl. The Jasper County prosecutor charged Stahl with sexual contact with a student. A probable cause statement says the two exchanged text messages and had sex in the victim's home. You can learn more about this case on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. As temperatures begin to drop, energy prices are on the rise. Every state offers some sort of assistance with heating bills for households that meet certain income guidelines. The online application period is open now in Missouri and remains open until March. Oklahoma began accepting applications just this week, and Kansas accepts applications beginning this coming Monday. The income guidelines for eligibility vary from state to state. You can find a link for more information at KOAMnewsnow.com. Just search under the word heating. A Miami woman speaks out after she says she was evicted out of the blue. Denise Wyrick tells us she and her family have been renting a home in Miami since February of 2017. So when her landlord, who she says she had not seen or spoken to in 2 years, handed her husband a 2-week eviction notice, she was shocked and heartbroken. Now she's frantically packing and looking for a new place to live before the eviction date, which she tells us has been a challenge.
No pets, but I have my daughter, and I also have my 33-year-old high-functioning autistic son that lives with me. So, you know, a 2-bedroom is not really convenient, but I would take a 2-bedroom. You know, it beats the heck out of a tent in the park.
According to Oklahoma law, if a landlord terminates a month-to-month lease, which Wyrick has, the landlord must give at least a 30-day notice to move. Wyrick says they were only given 14 days. We reached out to her landlord, who hasn't yet responded to our request for comment. We'll have more on this story later in the show. COVID-19 cases are rising during the holiday season. If you think you might be sick, there are local options to get tested free of charge. The Joplin Health Department hosts a free testing clinic at the Joseph Newman Innovation Center every Thursday. The Wesley House in Pittsburgh also offers free testing. You can find other locations on your state's health department website. Fort Scott's Happy Snappy Art and Paint Parties is doing what they do best, hosting a paint party. This one is getting folks in the mood for incoming winter weather. For 5 days, Happy Snappy has hosted kids for its winter art camp.
Several camps during the year, during the summer, during the winter break, and the spring break. They're a week long, and we do 5 different paintings, and they build on each other so that the skills that they learn, they are learning, but we're having so much fun they hopefully don't realize that they're learning.
Happy Snappy is at 702 South National in Fort Scott. Well, Pop That Cork Friday not only it marks New Year's Eve, but it's also National Champagne Day. What great timing. Champagne is a wine known for its effervescence, which comes from fermenting the beverage, allowing the vintner to trap the CO2 in the bottle, giving the bubbly its signature fizz. Primarily, the 3 grapes used to create champagne are Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. Champagne has a shelf life of about 3 to 10 years, depending on whether it's vintage or non-vintage. Non-vintage has a shorter shelf life, so go ahead, pop the cork, and celebrate. That last one was a little tough to pronounce for me.
But no, in general though, like a good Chardonnay, a Pinot Noir, those are pretty good champagnes to have, or good wines in general.
Definitely. Well, no better day to enjoy it than today or tonight.
Yeah, and certainly, hopefully everyone is safe and celebrating tonight, because we've got an interesting setup weather-wise as we wrap up not only 2021, but kick off 2022. Here's the jet stream setup this morning. We've got one upper low across the Canadian border, ready to let loose quite a bit of Arctic air. But the other upper low I'm watching is this guy south of LA. Doug was watching it the other night. That's the one that's going to really ramp up the moisture as we go deeper into the day, certainly tonight and our Saturday. At the surface, these pieces are starting to come together as well. A quick warm front this morning is what brought that south wind back into action, but there's the Arctic front ready to really shake things up as we go into Saturday. In the short term though, before any of those systems can really come together, we're just seeing a lot of mostly cloudy skies build in, but ahead of those storm systems, we already got areas north of I-44 in Missouri and all of southeast Kansas. You're already under winter weather advisories, and once those go into effect tomorrow, they won't disappear until we get to about 6 a.m. Sunday. It is nice to see the skies brighten up from 7th and range line, but definitely can't tell. Quite a bit of cloud cover building in. But look at the temperatures. We're at 57 degrees. If you remember during the 9 o'clock show the other night, Doug said temperatures were in the upper 30s. That south wind really allowed us to warm up fast during the overnight. And it's not just Joplin though. We have mid to upper 40s in the very far northern and western counties. Everybody else in the lower, if not mid 50s, and even a couple of upper 50s on the board. So we're pretty much at 57 right now, but I think we can go to 65 this afternoon before any of the systems on the way try to bring a few showers in, mainly in our southern counties. Once we go past the start of the noon hour, or the afternoon rather, I think it's by 3 p.m. and certainly after that where some showers in our southern counties can certainly get going. But as we go deeper into the evening, and certainly as we kick off 2022, here's the midnight hour. This is as warm as we're going to be on Saturday, around 52 in Joplin, 40s and 50s everywhere else. And then that front, that Arctic front, is going to allow temperatures to just tank. As it does, we're going to see our area of rain switch to a mix of rain, freezing rain, and sleet as we go towards 6 a.m. Saturday. Here's noon on Saturday. Everyone's in either rain or a mix of rain, freezing rain, and sleet. Then temperatures get cold enough as we go into Saturday afternoon that the backside of the system in general will mean light snow showers scattered in nature. Shouldn't amount to more than maybe half of an inch at worst case. But the big headlines are these. If you're not going to deal with any of the winter precip, especially along and south of 44, you're going to primarily pick up rain anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch. But once you hop north of 44, that's where the wintry mess really starts to kick in. A glaze to 1/4 of an inch of ice from Bartlesville to about, let's say, Pitcher, Joplin, points north and west of there up to Nevada and Erie, St. Paul. That's your glaze to about 1/4 of an inch of ice. North of there, about an inch of sleet and snow mixed together. And then the heaviest of the snows, Bronte, will be well to the northwest of the region. We'll go into the 7-day forecast during the next part of the show and see how we look once we get the system out of here.
All right. The World Health Organization gave the green light to the first malaria vaccine. The World Health Organization says children across Africa should get the shots from GlaxoSmithKline to help prevent millions of illnesses every year.
Good luck trying to find a
Reach a record high, and 2021 was the deadliest year in the pandemic. Reporter Naomi Ruchim has a look at the year's top health stories.
3 COVID-19 vaccines became widely available in the United States in 2021, yet the country saw twice the number of COVID deaths than the year before, with the pandemic death toll climbing to more than 800,000.
We will reach the point where we will be able to get back to doing things the way we did before, but we're going to have to make sure that we get as many people vaccinated as we possibly can.
Low vaccination rates in parts of the country and the highly contagious Delta variant led to several surges in cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. In April, there was a pause on the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine after some patients developed rare but serious blood clots. The CDC and FDA lifted the pause, finding the vaccine safe and effective. But in December, the CDC voted to recommend the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines over the J&J shot, citing the rare blood clots linked to several deaths. Pharmaceutical companies developed the first oral treatments for COVID-19. Merck's molnupiravir was found to reduce hospitalization and death by 30% if taken within 5 days of symptoms, while data showed Pfizer's antiviral pill appeared to cut risks by 89% when taken within 3 days.
We are now expanding vaccine recommendations to more than 28 million children in the United States.
By November, children ages 5 to 11 were finally able to roll up their sleeves for Pfizer's lower dose COVID-19 vaccine.
For our family, a turning point in what has been an incredibly difficult 18 months.
The CDC issued stronger recommendations for everyone 18 and older to get booster shots in response to the new Omicron variant and amid evidence of waning vaccine immunity. The pandemic pushed America's opioid epidemic to unprecedented levels. The data from the National Center for Health Statistics shows more than 100,000 drug overdose deaths in the U.S. from April 2020 to April 2021, a 28.5% increase from the year before. Pandemic precautions did help stop the spread of flu last season, but it came back in the fall with some large outbreaks reported.
We were sort of taking in what we were looking at, which was incredible. It was a kidney that was immediately functioning.
Scientists in New York performed a breakthrough in organ transplant, successfully attaching a pig kidney in a human body, kept alive on a ventilator. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
The World Health Organization gave the green light to the first malaria vaccine. They say children across Africa should get the shots from GlaxoSmithKline to help prevent millions of illnesses each year. Easy to take medication is more effective at suppressing HIV in children and teens. That's according to a new study in the New England Journal of Medicine, which shows low cost, once a day, and antiretroviral drugs reduce the chance of treatment failure in children by 40%. The once-a-day treatment is already widely used to treat adults. And eating veggies, fruits, and whole grains can help pregnant women avoid gestational diabetes. Researchers in Finland say nutrient-rich foods that reduce inflammation also greatly lower the risk of gestational diabetes. Russian Amur Tiger Center captured footage of Siberian tigress Svetlana with her two newborn cubs by the automatic cameras during their monitoring expedition. In the video released by the center on Sunday, tigress Svetlana appeared walking her baby tigers through the woods. The cubs are estimated to be about 4 to 5 months old. The supposed father of the tiger cubs is the tiger Grom, the son of Svetlana and other tiger Boris. Last year, Grom pushed Boris out of the area that they had previously divided and became its sole ruler. The center said in a video description that Siberian tiger is extremely rare and considered an endangered species on the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List.
I'm jealous of all the snow they get to walk in.
There was one shot where the tiger was just kind of like up in the cameras. Oh, there it is. And it kind of made me laugh while I was talking about it. Oh my gosh.
This is checking it out. It wants
just
its
want to
15.
say hi.
It's like it wants its 15 minutes of fame, like we all do.
Yep.
In the meantime, though, Bronte, if you don't mind, we're going to shift things back to our neck of the woods because we have some wintry weather on the way soon, but all is quiet right now with mostly cloudy skies building in. I have one upper low in Canada that's ready to bring the much colder air our way. And this upper low south of LA, that's the one that's ready to bring in quite a bit of moisture riding right along the jet. At the surface, we have our next Arctic front ready to roll on in, but thankfully it doesn't do so today. It's going to be a mild end to wrap up 2021, but look at all the blue. North of I-44 in Missouri and southeastern Kansas, those are winter weather advisories. Once those go into effect tomorrow, They will not expire until we hit about 6 a.m. at the latest on Sunday. Cloud cover building in, but we're looking quiet at 716 from the east side of Joplin, 57 degrees with the south wind at 18. Most of us are right around 50, if not already trying to push it to the upper 50s. So you can already tell. Forget about the average high of 45 degrees today. We'll go 62 by noon. I think Joplin can top out at 65 degrees this afternoon. Now, as we go into late afternoon, the advancing systems could try to bring in some scattered showers in our southern counties, but the rain chances will really ramp up as we go into this evening, as we kick off 2022 at the midnight hour. But as that colder air slams in, look at how everything will switch to a mix of rain, freezing rain, and sleet. And then once it gets cold enough tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be certainly cold enough for the system to wind down as some scattered snow showers. In terms of rain, those you'll primarily see that, 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch. Quick glimpse of the wintry mix for tomorrow from Joplin north to Nevada and St. Paul over to Bartlesville. That's a glaze to 1/4 of an inch. An inch of sleet and snow. Otherwise, a mix of the two north of that region. But once we get behind that system, boy, is it get cold for Sunday. We dropped to 9 Sunday morning, 24 degrees for a Sunday afternoon. Fortunately, though, we're right back into the 40s come Monday and Tuesday.
Ashley Home Stores New Year's.
We are back in local stores and markets in Seattle, Washington. They're struggling to keep shelves stocked as bad road conditions have prompted cancellations for delivery drivers. Western Washington shoppers may have noticed that milk, eggs, bread, and other weekly staples were hard to come by this week. In the wake of a winter storm that has dumped inches of snow across the Puget Sound, delivery drivers, they're unable to make their drops, compounding the already prevalent pandemic-related supply chain issues. The latest details from El Thomas.
Here at Tower 12 Cafe and Deli, sandwiches fly off the counter all day long.
Usually we go through at least 2.5 loaves a day.
But this week, stock is running low.
Right now we're okay, but it's pushing it. It's pushing it a lot.
And shelves are running bare.
We're having a hard time getting milk, eggs, bread.
They've had multiple deliveries canceled this week because of poor road conditions, leaving them stretching the supply they do have while they wait.
Did you get milk, Charlotte? No, my milkman hasn't come out yet. Pandemic has already hit us once with the shortage of a lot of stuff, and I felt like we were getting on a good track of getting everything, and then this whole snowstorm hit, and so it's like back to square one. Hoping and praying that they can make it out this week.
Over at Lashai Market in Madrona,
there's like breads, baked goods.
It's more of the same.
They're really struggling just because there's a manpower issue, and then obviously the weather and how it impacts the roads, and then also we have to factor in the health piece of it too.
As a small market, co-owner Paul Wilcox says they have the ability to take small deliveries at a moment's notice, allowing them to keep more products on shelves.
It's difficult, but you find a way to get through it. There's no manual for it. There's no protocol.
We're in a better position than most.
I feel like there's going to be a run on Lashai Market, but they deserve it.
Still, the frustrations are there.
The moment that this passes, we get another snowstorm, and then we go through the same thing again. I'm like, what is next? It never goes away. It's a big food puzzle, as I call it.
And again, that was El Thomas reporting. We'll be back to salute today's four-state hero right after this.
The curtain's coming.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero. Specialist Clarence Bedford served in the U.S. Army from 1965 to 1967. The Lamar, Missouri was stationed in Hanoi, Vietnam, and Germany with the 75th Artillery. We thank you, Clarence Bedford, today's four-state hero. In Glendale, Arizona, police arrest 3 people accused of stealing dogs on Wednesday. Body camera video from December 19th shows the dogs reuniting with their owners. Here's that reunion.
Merry Christmas, Mom.
Oh my God, I can't believe this.
The greatest gift of all for the owner of Paris the dog, as Glendale police returned her home just in time.
They're in the process of moving at the same time they were getting ready to move out of state. So they were just overjoyed at the idea that their fur babies, if you will, were returned to them unharmed.
Paris and another dog, Lala, were stolen earlier this month near 67th Avenue and Bell. Police say one of the suspects, April Wilder, came back to the victim's home with one of the dogs asking for a reward.
The male victim noticed that the car that April Wilder was in matched the description of the car that neighbors said had picked up the dogs in the first place.
Those neighbors played a key role in getting the dogs returned.
This is a lesson a lot for us as a community to kind of keep an eye out for one another. But because these neighbors saw something, they said something, they alerted the homeowners to what they saw and witnessed, and that helped get the situation to a close.
Police were able to track down the other dog at a nearby park. Their video shows officers confronting the two other suspects, Charles Austin and Barry Greer.
Need a dog. Thank you.
Reuniting the dogs, not just a happy moment for the homeowner, but for officers too.
I just can't only imagine if somebody had my dogs and didn't return them, so I would be heartbroken.
A lot of times people don't realize our officers have feelings and emotions as well, so they want to be able to have these happy endings.
Police say whether you've adopted a rescue dog or have one worth thousands like these dog napping victims, this case is a reminder for all of us.
You always want to keep an eye on your animals and make sure that they're safe and secure and don't leave them unattended.
You guys literally remade our Christmas.
Weather just ahead, coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. With nearly 100 video games scheduled to release before the end of March, 2022 looks to be a busy year for video gamers. In the lockdown in the Chinese city of Xi'an is hitting the world's biggest chip makers. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Do you need your business to appear at the top?
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A two-vehicle collision north of Miami, Oklahoma takes the life of one man. Oklahoma Highway Patrol reports a southbound vehicle driven by Stephen Ripto on Oklahoma 69 collided head-on with northbound vehicle driven by Albert Horton. The crash occurred yesterday afternoon at approximately 5 in the evening. Integris EMS transported Albert Horton, age 72, from Sparta, Wisconsin to Integris Hospital in Miami, where he was pronounced deceased. At the hospital, Integris EMS also transported the other driver, Stephen Ripto, and one passenger, Carisha Huddleston, to Mercy Hospital in Joplin. Both were listed in fair condition despite having minor injuries. The condition of Stephen Ripto is under investigation, as is the cause of the collision. A Golden City, Missouri substitute teacher faces a sex crime charge. That teacher is 22-year-old J.C. Bain Stahl. The Jasper County prosecutor charged Stahl with sexual contact with a student. A probable cause statement says the two exchanged text messages and had sex in the victim's home. You can learn more about this case on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. A Miami woman speaks out after she says she was evicted out of the blue. Denise Wyrick tells us she and her family have been renting a home in Miami since February of 2017. So when her landlord, who she says she had not spoken to in 2 years, handed her husband a 2-week eviction notice, she was shocked and heartbroken. Now she's frantically packing and looking for a new place to live before the eviction date, which she tells us has been a challenge. COVID-19 cases are rising during the holiday season. If you think you might be sick, there are local options to get tested free of charge. The Joplin Health Department hosts a free testing clinic at the Joseph Newman Innovation Center every Thursday. The Wesley House in Pittsburgh also offers free testing. You can find other locations on your state's health department website. Fort Scott's Happy Snappy art and paint parties are doing what they do best, hosting a paint party. This one is getting folks in the mood for the incoming winter weather. For 5 days, Happy Snappy has hosted kids for its winter art camp.
Several camps during the year, during the summer, during the winter break, and the spring break. They're a week long, and we do 5 different paintings, and they build on each other so that the skills that they learn, they are learning, but we're having so much fun, they hopefully don't realize that they're learning.
Happy Snappy is at 702 South National in Fort Scott. Today, many of us will make New Year's resolutions. Those resolutions are then typically quickly abandoned, usually within about a month. A survey last year by One Poll says people abandon resolutions in about 32 days. But you don't have to be a statistic. There are ways to keep your New Year's resolution. According to Jenny Copeland from the mental health service Hope Spring in Joplin, one way is to set a resolution that you're passionate about.
Coming from a place of, I think, caring and self-compassion is a lot more powerful for our health, and we have pretty good research on this, that if we're coming out of a place of kindness, but also joy, doing things that we enjoy and we love and are going to make us happy and feel good, those are the things that we keep around longer.
You can watch more of our interview with Copeland on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. American Girl is releasing its first Girl of the Year doll of Chinese descent. The popular doll manufacturer unveiled Corinne Tan, a Chinese-American skier, on Thursday. The Girl of the Year dolls are based on modern characters with contemporary stories. The other American Girl dolls are linked to different periods of American history. American Girl has released other Asian American dolls in the past, including a biracial Japanese American Girl of the Year in 2006. But Corinne is the first Chinese American Girl of the Year. A company spokeswoman said they created Corinne to be a positive role model. The doll plus a book sells for $110. Other accessories are available for purchase.
That's not a bad idea, but seriously, like, do all those American Girl dolls sell for so much money?
Yes, actually, when I was little, I was kind of into them, and we had a store in LA, and I would go and I'd look around, and the prices were pretty steep, I'll be honest with you. My parents kind of looked around and were like, maybe we'll just browse instead of buying anything.
And I thought video games were an expensive hobby.
Yeah, no, these will break the bank for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, she's certainly appropriately dressed for the weather, because that's the type of weather that's headed our way as we kick off 2022 tomorrow. But in the meantime, we're still on the warmer side of the jet as cloud cover begins to stream in. But this upper low near Winnipeg, that's ready to bring Arctic air our way. And the upper low near LA, that's ready to send in more moisture. That will certainly change things up even as early as this evening with the way things are looking. But at the surface, we just had a quick warm front. That's what brought that south wind back into action this morning. But this Arctic cold front, the first one of the season, that is really going to shake things up as we go into our Saturday. Out ahead of both of those systems, we've got a bunch of blue on the map, north of 44 in southwestern Missouri and all of southeast Kansas. These are winter weather advisories that once they go into effect tomorrow, they won't go away until we hit about 6 o'clock Sunday morning. In the meantime, though, cloud cover continues to build in, but we're looking quiet from 7th and range line. Currently, we are at 57 with the south wind at 18, trying to gust near 30 miles per hour. So that south wind is certainly eager to warm things up throughout the course of the day. Still trying to hold on to some mid 40s in our far northwestern and western counties, but everybody else, we're mainly between 50 and 57 degrees. And again, we are now just beginning to see the sun rise. So we're pretty much in Joplin at 57 right now, but we'll still go to 62 by noon and push highs near 65. That's 20 degrees above the average high as we wrap up the year. However, even though we're dry to start the afternoon out, both systems coming in, that's going to result in some scattered showers picking up in our southern counties first. Then as we go into the evening, and as we ring in 2022, you can see how the rain chances really ramp up, even some possible thunderstorms too. Nothing severe expected, but certainly an interesting start to 2022, because as that cold front rolls in, you can see how we'll quickly see that wintry mix start to roll on in our northwestern counties first, and it overtakes the entire area as we go into tomorrow afternoon. Then this whole system's going to end as some scattered snow showers. In terms of rain, if you're going to see primarily that, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch tops. But once you hop north of 44 from Joplin up to Nevada, let's say Erie, St. Paul over to Independence and Bartlesville, that's a glaze to 1/4 of an inch of ice. Northwest of there, an inch of sleet and snow combined. And then the heaviest of the snow, in fact, the vast majority of that snow, it's going to be, whoop, I did not mean to do that. I apologize, everybody, but we will give you a fresh look at the 7-day once I sort out this technical glitch. In the meantime, you're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. For our something to talk about this morning, surprise, surprise, it's about New Year's resolutions. Now, if you hope to bring in a healthier new year, you may find actually motivation close to home. Temma Martin with the Best Friends Animal Society says if your goal is to be healthier, if whatever you consider healthier in 2022, look to your furry friend to help. Whether it's stress relief, exercising, or eating healthier, including your dog or cat can make keeping those well-intentioned resolutions easier when you extend that consideration to the care of your pet. So that is our something to talk about this morning. What is your New Year's resolution? We've got quite a few options here, from losing weight, getting healthy, saving money, stressing out not so much, maybe laughing more. Still the overwhelming majority, actually, we've evened up on two numbers here. Less stress and other, both tied at about 33%. But you still have time to chime in, and we want to hear from you. KOAMNewsNow.com/vote, or you can vote using the KOAM News Now app for iOS and Android. Well, we're going to move on now. There are nearly 100 new video games scheduled to be released before the end of March, and dozens more have been planned for release in the first 3 months of 2022. Rick Damigella looks at some of the most anticipated games on the way.
Pokemon Legends Arceus is an action RPG where, you guessed it, players have to catch them all when it releases January 28th for the Nintendo Switch.
Just start at the beginning. We landed on Mars. It looked wrong.
Eyes up, Guardian. Destiny 2 The Witch Queen is the new expansion to the MMO shooter for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation consoles. The Witch Queen invades February 22nd.
What could the demigods ever hope to win by warring?
A Song of Ice and Fire author George R.R. Martin may not have finished The Winds of Winter yet, but he did write the lore of Elden Ring, which releases for Windows, Xbox, and PlayStation systems on February 25th. The hyper-realistic racing action of Gran Turismo 7 races onto the PlayStation 4 and 5 when the green flag drops March 4th.
Ready, set, Chocobo!
Racing of a different kind happens in Chocobo GP, with players driving characters from the Final Fantasy games. The Birds Fly the Coop March 10th for the Nintendo Switch.
Hold on, what game are we playing here?
We're playing Bunkers and Badasses, baby!
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is what you get when you mix a first-person shooter with a tabletop RPG theme with an adolescent bomb builder as dungeon master. While that seems like a lot to unpack, anyone who's played the Borderlands games, which this is a spin-off of, will likely nod with knowing approval. The mayhem commences March 25th on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
And hopefully my wallet will survive with all those games coming our way soon. In the meantime, we'll be back with Consumer Watch on the other side.
We got work to do.
An environment.
In the Chinese city of Xi'an, a tight lockdown and repeated rounds of mass testing have not yet brought down the COVID-19 case count. New infections remain steady at around 150 a day. The shutdown is China's largest since the beginning of the pandemic and is now hitting the world's biggest chip makers. Stephen Jiang reports.
Authorities in Xi'an are warning the worst is not over just yet for their metropolis of 13 million residents, with the city now recording well over 1,000 new locally transmitted cases in the past 3 weeks. Officials are now also warning about the risk of hidden transmissions and breakthrough infections, justifying the need for harsh lockdown measures as well as repeated citywide testing. But these sweeping containment measures are now starting to hamper the operations of two of the world's biggest chip makers, potentially worsening an ongoing crisis of a global chip shortage. Both Samsung of South Korea and Micron of the U.S. have now acknowledged they had to adjust their operations in Xi'an, a major industrial hub where both companies have invested heavily in manufacturing facilities. Now, both companies have said they would leverage their global manufacturing networks to minimize disruptions. And meanwhile, in southern China, disturbing videos have emerged from a border town where 4 people in full hazmat suits with placards showing their photos hanging around their necks being paraded through the streets for allegedly helping others illegally crossing the borders into China from neighboring Vietnam. That's considered a heinous offense, apparently, by local police because of China's continued border closure and increasingly tightened COVID rules. There have been some recent local outbreaks linked to illegal immigrants immigrants, and officials there have defended their public shaming tactics, saying it's needed to act as a deterrent. But critics say this has once again exposed the dark and repressive side of China's zero COVID policy, with many local officials having little regard for human rights or dignity in the name of COVID prevention. Stephen Jiang, CNN, Beijing.
A warning from the CDC: don't go on cruises regardless of your COVID vaccination status. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention cited the quick spread of the Omicron variant. The CDC said it has nearly 100 cruise ships under investigation or observation because of COVID cases. The Cruise Lines International Association released a statement calling the warning perplexing, saying cases identified on board ships represent a very small minority of cruisers, and that the majority of the cases are mild or asymptomatic. It also insists cruises provide one of the highest levels of demonstrated mitigation against the virus. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Why is it that some...
All right, we are back. Let's shift gears a little bit here. Let's talk about our weather forecast. Again, one upper low in Winnipeg, ready to bring in Arctic air. The other one, south of LA, that's the one pulling in quite a bit of moisture, resulting in our cloud cover, but a dry start this morning. But our main focus is that cold front, our first Arctic front of the winter season. Once that starts working in tomorrow, that's going to take rain chances that will pick up tonight rather, and turn it into a bit of a wintry mess. That's why the winter weather advisories are out in the blue for southeast Kansas and Missouri and north of I-44 until we hit about early Sunday morning. In the meantime, though, we're looking quiet for 7th and Range line. We're at 57 degrees with the south wind at 18 and gusts at times trying to push near 30 miles per hour. Most of us are near 50, if not trying to push 57 degrees already. But a quick look at the day ahead. In general, we're already well above our high of 45, our normal high. And in fact, we'll go 20 above that, with highs pushing 65 degrees this afternoon. So here's how we go from here on out. We're quiet this morning. We're quiet to start the afternoon out. As those systems start to work in, we'll see scattered showers pick up in our southern counties first, a couple of them. But then those rain chances will do nothing but grow in coverage and even a little bit of intensity. Even toward the midnight hour, we'll have rain and thunderstorms to kick off 2022. But then as that Arctic front rolls in, look at the pink taking over. That is that mix of rain switching to a mix of rain, freezing rain, and sleet. And then as the colder air overtakes the area, we'll have a mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow. And then the system's going to taper off eventually as snow showers by the time we head into your Saturday evening and Saturday night. But in terms of what to expect, a glaze to 1/4 of an inch of ice from I-44 up to about Nevada, let's say Erie, St. Paul, and Independence. North of there, a combination of an inch of sleet and even a little bit of snow, but the heavy accumulations, they are going to be snow-wise well to the north and west of the region. Now we'll show you what the 7 days looks like coming up in a bit, but first, we've had quite a bit of fun, Bronte and I filling in for Tanya and Michael this morning, but let's do something a little bit special for Bronte now. Here is just a little something, a little background. She graduated from, San Francisco State University back in 2020 during the pandemic. Next week, though, she's finally going to put on her cap and gown to walk across the stage. So, Bronte, for you, we put together a little something from a couple of us here at Television City. Hey, Bronte, wanted to say congrats on finally finishing up with school. We're so happy and proud of what you've done for us here at KOAM, and we cannot wait to see what lies ahead for you. Nothing but good things. Congrats, Bronte.
Bronte, from all of us here in the Skywatch Weather Center, we want to wish you a congratulations. This is not only a career achievement, no, this is a lifetime achievement. Yes, you came from the left coast, but now you're one of our own right here in the 4 states. So from all of us here at KOAM, Bronte, congratulations.
I'm so glad you get to go home to celebrate, have a great time, and congratulations.
Congratulations on graduating, and it's been great having you here on the morning, and I can't wait to see what else comes.
Hey Bronte, congrats on graduating college. Live it up and have fun.
Congrats, Bronte. We already knew you were smarter than most of us. Keep kicking butt, lady.
Congratulations, Bronte. Pretty smart gal. Love to have you on board.
Congratulations, Bronte, on graduating college. You are honestly a genius, and we are grateful to have you here.
Congratulations, Bronte. So proud of you.
Congratulations, Bronte. We're so proud of you.
Hey, Bronte, we've known for a while that you're talented and skilled and a great person to have around, but it's nice to have that piece of paper to prove it. Congratulations, Bronte.
That was such a nice surprise. Oh my gosh.
That's the whole point. It is a bit of a surprise.
Oh, well, thank you. I had no idea what was going on. You were just like, sit down in this chair. And then, sorry guys, I'm just in complete shock, but thank you so much. I feel very loved right now, so thank you.
Okay, and we are going to wrap up our morning edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
You waited to save.
Well, we're just about out of time right now, but Bronte and I are ready to head on out or wrap things up here. So if you missed the forecast, we have the latest always on at KOAMNewsNow.com. In the meantime, Bronte, do you want to wrap things up?
Yep. Thanks so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather at 5 o'clock. Have a great morning, even better day, and a Happy New Year.
I used to need my very own Christmas elf to help me build all my kids' Christmas gifts by hand.